Hyvät katsojat, tervetuloa jälleen Israel-studion. Tänään minulla on kunnia pitää vieraanani Israelin Suomen suurlähettilästä Hagit Ben-Yaakovia. Madam Ambassador, thank you for joining me at Israel studio.
Thank you for hosting me, Risto. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah. We will discuss the Hamas attack in a minute. But first, I'd like to ask a few questions related to Finland. So you've been here for about 3.5 years.
Almost 4 years.
Almost 4 years. How has Finland treated you?
Oh, very well, very well. It's very calm here, very relaxing. The nature is amazing. My kids, they love the snow. Myself less. I like warm weather, but we managed to get along with the nature beautifully.
So we are approaching the end of your term here in Finland, and you will be returning back to Jerusalem in summer. What will be the next page of your life?
I don't know yet. We're looking forward to see what the future will bring with him, but we are back. We will be back in Jerusalem, and it's good for itself.
And so you will continue in the diplomatic service?
Definitely, definitely,
Yeah.
yes.
Right. And before Finland, you were stationed in?
I was ambassador to Latvia and Lithuania. It was already 10 years ago.
Okay.
And before that, I spent some years in the Philippines, but also in Ankara, Turkey.
Okay. We will discuss also Turkey later in this program, but today when we record this program on March 13th, this day marks the 158th day since the attack of Hamas, brutal attack. What were your first reactions when you woke up on that very Saturday, October 7th?
7th of October brings back a lot of emotions. It was mixed with the shocking news, the pictures that we received already early in the morning. We didn't understand the scope of the things. We got, I remember that we got, for the first time, we saw actually bodies on the street. You need to understand, in Israel, we don't show bodies of anyone because of the respect for the people, so we don't show that. And for the first time, we got pictures of so many, dozens of bodies in the street, in Sderot. And I was calling my defense attaché, and I was telling him, what's going on? What's going on? And we were both discussing it early morning. And short after, I think it was 2 hours later, that I received a call from an Israeli Finnish citizen who were asking, begging for my help. His father disappeared. He's not answering his phone. His stepmother disappeared. They were in Kfar Aza. And unfortunately, it took a few days to realize that both were murdered brutally. It took a while until they could identify them. But this was the beginning, the shocking, we don't understand the scope of this, the sorrow, and the phone calls of people who are begging us to help. I'm from Finland. I could do very little. I was calling people, hospitals, trying to find out where his father could be. And also chaos, in a way.
So, did you lose any of your loved ones or close friends? Or?
Not direct family members, thanks God. But any one of us knew someone. And at the Foreign Ministry, used to work as Madao. She was murdered brutally with her partner. Her partner was a photographer for Ynet. he was murdered outside. She was murdered in front of her kids. Her 2 kids were hidden. She put them first in a cupboard for hours, more than 10 hours. Kids.
Yeah. I think we outside Israel, as well as Israeli people, are asking how was that possible. And I understand that you don't have questions to or answers to that questions, but it was a huge, not only a shock, but a huge surprise that how was it possible?
Yeah, I'll tell you, we were captured in a conception. Everyone is talking today about the conception. What was the conception? We knew exactly that how Iran is involved and how Hamas is involved with Iran and how Iran is training Hamas, but we were thinking that this is in order to have some actions in the West Bank. We were sure that Gaza is stabilized. We were sure that Hamas has interest to stabilize Gaza, that he cares actually about what's going on in Gaza. Little did we know. Until the 7th of October, and the 6th of October, we had 18,600 Gazan people, Palestinians, entering Israel to work.
Every day?
Every day, 18,600 people. We were supposed, a few days after Sukkot, after the holiday, to sign an energy agreement with some Arab neighbors, and Israel, to make sure energy flow in Gaza. So we got under this conception that Gaza is stabilized, Hamas doesn't want to hurt his own people, and it will continue like status quo, like that. Little did we know. Again, now we understand there were many signs. We just choose to, in a way, interpret them differently. And we were alert about the West Bank. We were very much alert about the North. We were totally not prepared for what was happening in the South.
You mentioned Iran. So what is the role of Iran in this chaos?
Well, Iran has a major role. It's definitely not a domestic event. Hamas, infiltration of the terrorists into Israel. It's not a domestic event. It's not Hamas vis-a-vis Israel. It's about Iran. We were saying it before. It is more stronger today because Iran has a model that it's implementing around the world. It works in Lebanon through proxy of Hezbollah. We know it. We have it in the north. But it also works in Yemen, for instance, their proxy, the Houthis. And today we have a Western coalition against the Houthis, recognizing the role of Iran there. And the same in Iraq, by the way, the Iraqi militias that Iran is controlling, the same in Gaza. The same in Gaza. And Hamas is definitely a proxy of Iran. They were trained by by Hezbollah as well. They got the money, they got the weapons, technology, many things directly from Iran. It's not even a question. So it's about Iran involvement in the region strategically. Much wider picture if you look at Iran and Russia involvement as well in the region. So it's much bigger situation, strategic situation, again.
One of my concerns as a Finn, and Finland joined the NATO about a year ago, and one of our allies within NATO is Turkey. And I just a few days ago, I read a news that said Mr. Erdogan, the president of Turkey, he said that Turkey firmly backs Hamas. And he sees Hamas as a freedom fighter. And he compared Prime Minister Netanyahu to Hitler and Stalin, and the Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, to the Nazi army. So What is the role of Turkey in this all?
I'm not aware of everything that you just said. I didn't see, you know, comparing the IDF to Nazi soldiers. I can say that, of course, he supports Hamas. It's not surprising. Erdogan is identifying himself with Hamas, so it's not news for us. We know where Erdogan stands. But I have to say, Turkey is an important player in the region, and we had our cooperation in fighting terrorism. We have some stories of, you know, a few months ago in Turkey cooperating with them. But of course, we condemn these statements because Hamas is a terrorist organization and is recognized as a terrorist organization by the Western world. And it's very clear what the aim of Hamas is, to destroy Israel. And Hamas does not recognize the existence of Israel. So, of course, this is not accepted at all.
According to major news agencies, in November, President Erdogan told his country's parliament that Israel would soon be destroyed. And just a few days ago, his chief Middle East advisor, Mr. Sefer Turan, said Israel must be destroyed.
You know, since we are victims of the agencies and all kind of spread news, I don't want to relate to statements that I don't know. I didn't hear it. You know, we still have bilateral relations with Turkey. They didn't, you know, they didn't cut off the relations. I would be very careful about these statements, or I don't know what is the interest to publish those things. But Israel here, you know, we continue to exist, we will prevail, and we have our long history with Turkey. I served in Turkey, I can tell you, in 2001, and we were, you know, happy with very good, strong relations. It changed. It's different nowadays. And we know where Erdogan stands again. It's not a surprise for us. He had some serious statements about the late President Peres at the time, and of course about Prime Minister Netanyahu. We don't accept that. It's not acceptable. Let's make it very clear. This is not how you conduct bilateral relations. But we need to take into consideration that Turkey is a player in the region, and they have a role also vis-à-vis Hamas, whether we like it or not. And, you know, in diplomacy, it's the art of communication, among other things. We need to know how to communicate even with players like Turkey, because they have a role in the region.
Right. And you still have normal diplomatic relations, and the ambassadors are...
I wouldn't say normal.
Okay.
It's not normal because the ambassadors are not there.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say it's normal, but still.
Official.
We have official relations. And,
I understand.
Yeah.
So back to Gaza, and so it took almost 3 weeks until Israel's response. So October 27th, Israel's troops launched a major operation in Gaza. Why it took that long to respond to attack?
I want to remind everyone that we had hundreds of hostages in Gaza at that time. Today we have 134. We had more than 200, 240 we had. We had to learn the situation. It was quite complicated. We had to bury more than 1,200. I mean, we never been in such a situation. Right. Hundreds of people to bring to bury them. It's awful situation, and it takes time. You know, you don't just enter. You have to plan it.
Of course.
As you mentioned it, we were surprised. So and to take such an action, it needs a lot of preparations, also from the legal side, because it was very obvious to us from the first point we are committed to the international law. We are committed to the humanitarian law, and we had to make sure that we work together with international organizations, with our allies, coordinating everything even before we enter. So it takes time. It takes time.
And as an outsider, what seems very surprising, and I'm also surprised that the media hasn't discussed this almost at all. How is it possible that Hamas has been able to build up such an army, such strength, the tunnels and everything? And of course, I understand that there have been, the international community has given more than $100 billion to Gaza. The people are still, according to Gazan official sources, they are poor, they are in different camps, and
we were talking about it for years. We were asking the international community to research, to look into the money, what's going on there, how it is spread. We were promised all the time that things are being investigated, that, you know, we will talk maybe later on about UNWRA, but that everything is under inspection, everything is okay, and everything is under control. We knew that Hamas is using some of the money to get trained and immune, etc. As I mentioned, Iran. We knew that Iranian money is coming to Hamas through all kinds of means, and we knew about the tunnels. I don't think that we knew to the details, to the extent of what we found out, but it's very obvious that we had to enter Gaza. If we want to demolish the capabilities and the infrastructure of Hamas, we had to enter Gaza. And yes, when you tackle such the scope of the tunnels and the you know, in some of the tunnels, you can see the infrastructure. The computers, the headquarters of Hamas, you ask yourself, what did you do with the, you know, millions and billions of euros? What did you do with that instead of helping the population? What did you do? How come no one is speaking about it? No one speaks about it enough. And let's be very honest, everyone already forgot the 7th of October. Everyone is concentrating on the humanitarian situation in Gaza, which is horrible. There's no question about it. We're very sorry about any innocent civilians who are getting hurt in this conflict. This is war.
Right. Normally, good governance includes kind of accountability. If you fund something like a third world country or developing country and give money, so you can expect something in return, that and you do you study the situation, you ask for reports how the money has been used. Why has the world turned a blind eye to Gaza?
Oh, the reports were there. The reports were there, the numbers of school, the educated people.
All the papers were well.
Yeah, the papers. But when you go deep and you go and you see what was in the curriculum of UNWRA schools. Now we know better than before. We knew it from before, but now you actually see, and you see the results. For decades, what was taught in UNWRA school? What was the curriculum? What did they spend their time and money for? To bring, to grow a terrorist there. I mean, this is like convincing the kids from kindergarten till high school that Israel should not exist, to give them the hope of return to Israel. UNWRA took themselves the function, instead of the rehabilitation of refugees in their place and making sure for their welfare, they were putting a lot of efforts in teaching them and giving the hope of return to Israel. For them, it's return to Palestine. Which Palestine?
Yeah. So with UNWRA, for the world and especially for the United Nations, its Secretary General. It was a huge surprise that some of UNWRA's people, UNWRA staff, worked or were part of the Hamas. So did that surprise you?
No, it didn't surprise. And I think when we look at UNWRA and Gaza in general, as I mentioned, I would like to look at it in two layers. So first is their role in the 7th of October attack. We know that there were some, we have the names, we have the pictures, we have everything, that there were some dozens of UNWRA's employment that were part of the 7th of October attack. This is something that you cannot even imagine. It's
on Israeli soil?
Yes, yes. We have pictures of people, UNWRA, with a jacket of UNWRA, taking a body of abducted kids. Awful pictures, by the way, awful pictures. And but also, you know, infiltration into Israel by terrorists, by UNWRA. But not only that, we know today that I think 12 to 15% of UNWRA employees are part of Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorist groups. It's a huge number.
What is the total of the total number of the...
Thousands, we're talking about thousands of people that related to it. We're talking about around 3,000, I think, teachers that are connected to the propaganda of Hamas, that are teaching the propaganda of Hamas, that were, you know, very happy remarks. So this is the first. This is one layer of UNWRA. The connection to the Gaza attack and their role in this
indoctrination.
Indoctrinate, exactly.
Yeah.
The second layer is the deepest one. What is the function of UNWRA in general? Why is it not why didn't it didn't finish its term already? Like similar organizations that were established in the beginning.
And UNWRA has been around since 1949.
Exactly. Yes.
And it hasn't been able to solve the refugee.
They didn't try to solve it. In contrary, we have some doctor in Wilf. She researched the issue and she said UNWRA was hijacked by the Palestinians. It's a Palestinian organization that aim to give the refugees hope to return to their Palestine. So never to solve any problem of the refugees, in contrary, to make sure it's still there. And we have millions of refugees, you know, much more than when UNWRA was established.
One of my guests in previous shows said that UNWRA is part of the refugee industry.
Yes.
So it's working for itself, not for their kind of clients or customers. But okay, not only Israel, but many countries in the West, Finland included, has criticized UNWRA and has stopped funding it. So what will happen to UNWRA and if it disappears, who's going to replace it?
So first of all, this is an opportunity to say thank you for the Finnish government to stop the funding of UNWRA. There are right now two committees of, you know, investigate the role of UNWRA in the 7th of October attack and in general. I can tell you that we don't see any future to UNWRA in Gaza. We cannot continue to work with UNWRA as is. I mean, definitely we see different organizations working in Gaza. There is a plan already. Organizations like the WFP or the Red Cross, we're working this right nowadays. These are the channels that we are working, that the international organizations are there, and the international community channel their assistance through these organizations. So WFP, it's one example. The Red Cross is another example. But UNWRA will not be able to continue its role in Gaza. I don't think that the government of Israel can accept UNWRA in Gaza.
So in the future, Gaza, there won't be Hamas, there won't be UNWRA.
I have to be very clear. If we're talking about the existence of the State of Israel, this is what we are talking about, we cannot live with Hamas in our borders. So Hamas, not infrastructure, not capabilities, not as a ruling, no.
Okay, we only have 1 minute plus 1 minute left. Let's return back to Finland. How are the relations between the Republic of Finland and the State of Israel today?
I'm very happy to say that we have strong relations, in all aspects. Of course, we have, not just cultural, strong economic relations. We hosted economic delegation a few days ago. They are in Vasa in the Energy Week this week, but also defense cooperation, very strong defense relations. So overall, we have very good relations, and people to people is amazing, and we get a lot of support from the people in the street.
Thank you, Madam Ambassador Hagit Ben-Yaakov. It was a pleasure to have you here at Israel studio.
Thank you very much, Risto, and thank you everyone.
And hyvät katsojat, kiitos jälleen seurasta. Palataan kanavalle Israel studioon jälleen ensi viikon torstaina kello 20. Hei hei!